Hello, hello, hello. How are you all? I hope you're all well recovered after your teas and coffees. Badly wanted this morning, so fresh out there. It's great to see so many familiar faces are in the room as well, and so many people that I've worked very closely with in terms of email marketing and all your digital marketing channels as well. I suppose email is the #1 performing digital marketing channel. I suppose you're kind of sick of me saying that now maybe at this stage. It is the highest return on investment in terms of your digital marketing channels, so it is one that is constantly developing. I suppose we've had so many questions in terms of, yeah, we do email, but maybe not a lot of people have reviewed their email strategy. And I suppose that's kind of why I want to spark that idea today as well. The biggest thing with email as well is it's such a strong channel. Everybody is using it, no matter what industry you're in. Everybody is adapting to email marketing. And I suppose that is probably the biggest reason that you need to put yourself in your customer's shoes, like we have discussed throughout this morning, and ask yourself the hard question of, why should I read your email? So I suppose the biggest thing is customers respond to the messages that they relate to, and I suppose we're all guilty of that, be all online savvy shoppers here, I suppose. And having worked with so many of you on your email marketing campaigns, the key learning is that customers respond to the messages that they want to read, not just the blasted emails that are telling you lots of information, but they want to know the ones that are really dedicated to their experience. The messages that they know were made for them are the ones that are key to anybody's email marketing strategy. An email audience, I suppose, is a very warm audience. They want to hear from you. They've subscribed. They want to be on that list. But I suppose the biggest thing we're seeing recently is that we sometimes see a drop-off in that list, which can both be a positive and a negative. If they're not interested in your product or service anymore and they're not on your list, then you're not really losing much. But I suppose in terms of retaining that customer, outside of retaining the customer in terms of your purchasing, you want to retain that customer in terms of giving them the information as well. And I suppose to do that, you need to ensure that what you're telling them is relevant to what they're looking for. So here we have Sean again, running theme of the day. So this is an example of where knowing your buyer's persona can be really useful. And I suppose just in terms of your customer's persona, that's thinking about your current customers first and foremost, I suppose, but also thinking about the customers that you want to attract, that maybe you're not attracting yet. Okay, you've hit peak at a certain level. You're now ready to attract new customers in another niche area, and thinking about those and thinking about their profile. So I suppose we'll just relay back to Sean here. And I suppose asking yourself, if Sean was your customer, what would be the appropriate email marketing for him? Well, I suppose the good news is, in terms of email marketing, it's not as much of a guessing game as it is in other aspects of the business. We have a lot of really rich information coming over in your email marketing campaigns, your email marketing integrations, be that if you're with MailChimp or Klaviyo, there's a lot of information coming over there from your site. You have people on the ground, lean into those as well. And I suppose they'll all tell you the information that we have on Sean here. So I suppose the biggest thing is, when you want to target the likes of Sean, I suppose the biggest challenge that we see there is that he's time poor. So what does that mean for you? How do you reach the people that are time poor? I suppose everybody in every day and age is time poor now. Everybody is so busy. But I suppose the biggest thing is that you need to make sure, because he's time poor and you're sending emails, that you need to make sure the emails you're sending him are actually relevant. And I suppose the biggest way that we can do that is by segmentation and segmenting down our email lists. I suppose that comes with its own challenges, but it's definitely something that, no matter the size of your list, is kind of more prominent in every email marketing strategy now these days. And again, I suppose thinking about yourselves, what does that mean for you as a retailer? And I suppose, how do you make sure that you're targeting the likes of Sean and the variations in the customer personas that you have designed today? And I suppose the biggest thing that I could recommend for you to is plan. Think about your content calendar, be that email, be it promotional, and we're going to jump into that in a second. But I suppose, as we mentioned, email marketing is a really busy area of digital marketing now, and I suppose everybody is wondering, right, well, this person is doing this, but how can I stand out from the crowd? And I suppose we have a lot of complementary industries in the room today, but we've also have variations of industries. I was chatting to one table earlier, and one was a pharmacy, one was in the hardware industry, but yet they could be each other's customers, no problem at all. So I suppose making use of those conversations today as well will be really helpful. So I suppose in terms of standing out from the crowd, again, just as I mentioned, planning is essential. You know, we're all guilty of the ad hoc marketing, but I suppose the only way that you'll get ahead of the game is being able to plan ahead. Email is one of the most flexible channels available, I suppose, in terms of your digital marketing as well, and it's really valuable throughout your customer's journey, right through from acquisition to post-purchase. And I suppose there's a variation of different types of emails that you can send. They can be super short and informative, like your transactional emails, you know, your order confirmation, password reset emails are very snappy, and that's all part of your good customer service, and remembering that when you're setting up those emails. While, you know, there's a lot of emails that are already set up for you when you start with AB Commerce and Magico, remember that it is okay to kind of adapt some of the text in those, you know, the likes of your discount email. If you've a discount email going out when somebody signs up to your list, make sure that it's appropriate for your brand and that you're building that relationship initially. I suppose, as I said, there's two different types. So you have your transactional emails, or you have short form curated content as well. And I suppose the biggest thing there that I would say is just to make sure that you include your personalization, and that you're making sure that you're driving engagement and revenue from all those types of emails. Just in terms of standing out from the crowd as well, the importance of telling your own story shouldn't be shied away from. I suppose what the biggest learning as well that I'd like to relay today is that you want to build that trust, and I know I've chatted to some of you on this in the last couple of weeks. You want to create a relationship with your customer that, like you'd have in store. So why do people come into your bricks and mortar? And being able to relay that, and I suppose email marketing is one of the really easy ways that you can do that. And that is one of the, as I said, it's quite an intuitive way of doing it. I suppose you can kind of filter through in different aspects of their journey to kind of hit them at the right time. So as I said, planning is key, be that across the board. You know, if you initially start to plan for a couple of weeks, that's fine. I know we've some people in the room that go day to day. We've some people that are planned maybe 6 months in advance. Some people have the higher overarching plan together for the year, and then it's the smaller items that you need to pull on. So I suppose just some tips that we would have in terms of planning and in terms of relating to your customers and being able to stand out from the crowd. I suppose the biggest thing is to get your planning and your correct strategy in place. I suppose it takes time and definitely takes a good resource, and that resource has to have the time to be able to dedicate to all these different digital marketing channels too. So I suppose the first one is obviously plan your promotions, and I suppose for the people that work with me in the customer success program, this is probably one of the biggest pain points I get, is that, okay, look, I've no problem planning for the promotions, or, you know, they're obvious, I've those sorted, I can do those now, but it's what you can do outside of those is what will really drive that difference between you and your competitors. And I suppose that's your starting point for that overall planning session that you're going to be doing. But on the other side of that, then you want to stay close to your numbers as well. So you want to think about the numbers that are on your dashboards. You want to think about your your Google Analytics numbers. You want to think about your customers that are coming into your stores. You want to relay with your team internally. Stay close to the numbers, what's selling, what's not. Again, a consistent theme that Martin would have discussed as well in his chat this morning. Like, that has made a difference to their overall strategy. And it's something that, I suppose the biggest thing with that is that you do have to dedicate the time to it. And that's the biggest issue. I think a lot of us are time poor in that regard. Again, what I mentioned earlier, lean into what you're known for in your bricks and mortar. So what's your biggest thing? Why do people come to you over somebody else who's a couple of doors up? And I suppose the running theme is always your team internally, the customer service you offer, the extras you offer, you know, when you go that extra mile in store, how do you relay that online? And I suppose thinking about that in your broader marketing scheme as well. Have your own brand persona. So that's exactly it, you know, thinking about what sets you apart, you know, building your own kind of story and being able to include that in your marketing. But while it may not be the focus point, it's still really nice you're building that relationship and you're nurturing your customers. The last point both relates to the staying close to your numbers, but it also relates to, okay, I did that email, it's sent now, great, done, tick off the list. But don't forget to go back and look at all the numbers from your emails. not even just your emails, digital marketing across the board. Review, be brutal, be honest. Okay, I did that, I put this much behind it, didn't work, that's fine. We've learned from it, we'll move on to the next one. I suppose really looking into the likes of, and outside of the likes of your open rates and your click-through rates, look at what has sold in that period. Look at what pages they're actually clicking on from that email. And really take the time into that. And I would split that up into maybe the day after, maybe a week later, because obviously not everybody opens their emails immediately, which is another story for another day. So just to get into it then, so if your resources in place, your key strategy points are agreed. So what do we need to include in that strategy? And I just have some key areas of email marketing that you should definitely think about including in your overall marketing strategy. Anyway, so the first one is segmentation. You know, we chatted about Sean earlier. It doesn't have to be a guessing game for the likes of Sean. You have rich information coming over in your integration. But the biggest thing is that you're sending him the key relevant email. He's time poor, he gets it at the right time, it's an abandoned cart email. He gets it a couple of hours later, a day later, whatever you choose to set it for, and it's sent at the right time, then that's going to convert him. Which leads me into automation. So the right person getting the right email will convert immediately for you. And like, not everybody gets that right either on the first go, and that's fine. But that's where looking back at your numbers and your insights are key in terms of like all the aspects of email marketing, but especially in your automation. We've had some people setting up some automations and new upgrades that we've done, and they've just decided, yeah, look, we ran it for 2 months, didn't really get much return from it, I'm going to change it up to this, and within a couple of days have seen an impact in their figures. So that's the big takeaway in terms of automation. Campaigns, so I suppose I haven't really mentioned them so far yet today. They definitely still have their place. I suppose with what I'm trying to do today is get you to think outside your campaigns. So I suppose we're all guilty of sending the campaigns, but not thinking about what's sent after that, and that's where your automations and your segmentation will all come in terms of your overall plan. Dynamic content, so this is one of my favorite features of our new upgrades, that we can do dynamic feeds of products based on what your customer has viewed and searched and browsed on your site, and even purchased. And I suppose marrying all of these together, like if you had your dynamic content included in some of your automated emails, like I'll show you some examples now when we go through it, but it really adds that little bit of extra personalization without having the hard sell in your emails, which is kind of what we all aim for, and as a customer I enjoy. Personalization, of course, is something that will never go away. I suppose if nothing else, we kind of need to grow on it. And I suppose the biggest way that you can, and I'm not just saying, dear Jillian, you know, it's not just adding that first name. It's thinking about your preference center, retargeting your customers, sending them an email, you know, what are you actually interested in? What do you want to hear from us on? And having that contact form on your website and being able to get that information into your email marketing platform and then targeting them based on that. And that's outside of, it might be a new customer and they haven't bought from us. It might be part of your welcome series emails. So thinking about personalization in that aspect as well. So this is just an example here, and I suppose this is, I know you can't really see it now, but I'll read out some of it. It's quite juicy. And this is all in terms of thinking about telling your brand story. This may not be appropriate to anybody in the room, but I thought it was a great example. So thanks for your purchase. You just joined the natural deodorant revolution. This is a big deal to us. Don't believe me. After you press the buy button, a buzzer went off on our phones letting us know that we just made a sale. Martina, in brackets, my mum, just took a shot of whiskey to celebrate. Jack, my brother, just ran outside and hugged a random old lady walking by the house. He was so excited. Holly, my sister, just started doing jumping jacks. I don't know why she does jumping jacks every time the buzzer goes off, but each to their own. All jokes aside, it means the world to us that you decided to buy Vico deodorant, so that's the brand. It's people like you who are helping small Irish businesses and the environment. So I suppose that's very niche to their business, but if you can take one bit away from it, just think about the language they've used. It's not what they're saying, it's the way they're saying it. And think about that, how can you do that to make yourself different and stand out from anybody else in your industry? The next example is Pandora. So this is an example of their welcome series. This is all one email, by the way. So that's while there's a lot of information in it, and I love the variation in it, it's a bit long. I probably wouldn't have scrolled down, only that I work in marketing and I'm keen to nitpick at everybody's email. So the first one you can see straight away, you can see they're asking about your preferences, so ready to complete your profile. You can click on that button and it takes you through to the preferences page on the Pandora website, which is really good. They're giving you your discount code, which is very straightforward. Again, this is just the next part of the email. But I also liked it include their loyalty program. So you can click through there, join their loyalty, tells you information about points, how you can use them, how many points you get for your purchases. And then it just adds in the last few points here. So the club benefits, so again, all in relation to the loyalty, laid out very straightforward. You know, at a scan, I opened this on mobile, so if you're scanning through it, it's very straightforward, very obvious in front of you. And then I love the bottom is their dynamic feed of shop by category. We could also include anything that the person has viewed in there. So there's, you know, you can set up those dynamic feeds based on what somebody has viewed. You can set it up based on new in products. You can set it up on your best-selling products. So they're all really good. And it's really quick to add in. You know, it's not something that you kind of have to use your brain too much on, just adding it in and the rest is looked after for you. So that's just a really good example there of the Pandora one. This is 2 different emails. You'll see I have them numbered. So this is a variation then of the first email, but this is what we would call a welcome series. So the first one is welcome to, I left out the name of the pharmacy. It's nobody in the room, but anyway. It's their first initial email is just saying welcome. Thank you for, you know, signing up, whichever. So that, creating your account. So that was just very basic, straightforward, automated email. But then within, I think it was 24 hours, no, sorry, the next one I got the discount code. I'm jumping ahead to the next slide by accident there. So number 2 there, the first one, Gale. So that's me getting my discount code. That was the top of the email. The next section of the email is in the middle. That's all information on the brand and all the information about that brand and why I should shop with them. And again, the discount code is just reiterated mid-email as well, which is nice. It's, you know, it's quite straightforward. And then they have a use of a dynamic feed. So the dynamic feed they have chosen is bestsellers, and it can be really good. They have a lot of supplements on their site, so it's quite easy to kind of choose what bestsellers they want to put on there. But again, that's all from a dynamic feed based on what people are purchasing too. So that's the first 2 emails. So I still hadn't purchased anything at this stage, and I got this email. And it was really at this stage that I was like, one part of me was like, okay, I have another email. But then when I went into it, I was like, okay, this makes sense why I have this email. You know, it really told me a lot more about them. So they obviously have an online doctor service, apply anytime. Very straightforward, no hard sell, like really informative. They're building the relationship with me. They're planting the seed with me. Okay, I don't need a doctor right now, but maybe in a month's time when I'm sitting at home and I have a sore throat, I'm like, might just make that call to them. So you're just building up that services and that persona of your own brand. Another example of that from a different type of retailer is here on the screen. So again, I'd gotten the welcome email. There was no discount code with this example. So it was just a welcome to the thank you for subscribing email. And then these are 2 separate emails. So the first one is based on Hum, so their payment provider, and they would have a lot of high ticket items on their site. So this is all part of their welcome series. They are telling me the information, okay, so this is really good. If I'm sitting at home and I might have just been browsing, I signed up, may not have converted, or maybe I did. In this case, I didn't. And they're telling me, okay, well, do you know that we actually have Hum as well? So down the line again, it may not convert me right there and then, but if I'm thinking of something that I need to buy down the line, then I can say, oh, if I go back to them, I can actually spread the payments over a period of time, so I might do that for this. The second email that they sent is click and collect service. So again, while these are all quite self-explanatory and we have really good icons on sites and stuff like that telling people we do click and collect, it's available at this location, if I'm a new shopper, so this retailer was based in Dublin, I'm living in Kerry, I'm not going to be thinking, oh, I wonder could I click and collect it, you know. But at the same time, it's really good to build that relationship. You can also filter this out by sending it to your customers based on their location. So that's what I mean. The information that's coming over in your integration is really, really rich. So just make sure that you're using that information across the board as well. So I suppose I've gone through loads of examples. I've told you what you should include or what you should think about including. I suppose the biggest thing that I can say is that email marketing is worth it. And I suppose you're sitting there like, oh, I do it, but why do I need to go to the next level, you know, in certain aspects? And I suppose this is why, you know, these are numbers that are continuously growing. 29% of revenue lift driven by customers through Klaviyo within the first 6 months. I don't think that's even just alone to Klaviyo, that's just email marketing in general. Returning customers are 10 times more likely to convert. That's very self-explanatory. You know, if they've purchased already from you or if they've just signed up, as I mentioned, they're a very warm audience. They really want to hear from you. They want to engage with your brand. They're happy with your brand. 4.3 billion. So email is expected to have 4.3 billion users worldwide by 2023. And just to put that in perspective, that's over half the world's population. And email has 4 billion daily users, with 99 of those checking their inbox every day. So that alone should hopefully plant the seed. I suppose in terms of since we had our last summit, the biggest question I have gotten in the last 12 months is, what platform should I go for? Should I go Klaviyo? Should I stay with MailChimp? What should I do? You know, if I have this platform, I'm happy with it, do I need to change? And I suppose you don't really. You know, I suppose each platform is what you make it yourselves. And I suppose it's just thinking about, it's no harm to actually see what's in each platform. I suppose the good news is we have the full integration with Klaviyo. We have an upgrade coming with MailChimp that is some of you I know have started that process in the last couple of weeks. So I suppose the two biggest things that I would say is resourcing would be your first question. Do you have somebody that you can dedicate to one of these platforms? And we can have conversations if anybody is thinking about their current platform or they might want to change platforms, then please find me after. I'd be happy to kind of have that conversation with you. There is no one size fits all is the biggest thing, I suppose, and what works for some might not work for others. And I suppose resourcing would definitely be the number one priority in terms of your email marketing and thinking about what platform you want to go with. So I suppose just in terms of all that as well, and I'm here and I'm talking to you, and you don't have to go off alone and do it alone. I suppose we are here to help you. I suppose the biggest thing I could say after that is think about your goals and the actions that you want to implement from what we've discussed today. I suppose if you want to have any conversations, then obviously I am around, or you know, if it doesn't happen today, then please feel free to reach out to me. But some of the questions that I would think about for get yourselves to think about is, are you on the right platform? Are you happy with your platform? Could you do more with your current platform? You know, some people might be on a certain platform and just feel like we're not getting anything from it. But are you actually using it to its full potential? You know, are you checking the boxes? Are you thinking about retargeting people based on their preferences? You know, are you thinking about re-engaging customers and getting them to tell you more information about themselves? Maybe not, and hopefully those little steps will kind of fall into place after today's session. The next two tie in very closely to each other. Could you improve your email marketing planning, but also can you improve your overall marketing planning? And I suppose just thinking about email as one channel, marketing is never ending. There's a lot of work to be done in there. But I suppose hopefully the biggest thing is that you can see a return from it and you can see why you do it. So I suppose that is everything. As I said, if anyone wants to kind of catch me throughout the day or next week, if you want to send an email or anything like that, I know there's a lot of people to kind of get in conversations with today, but please feel free to reach out. And as I said, email marketing is just one platform, but in terms of loyalty and building your relationship with your customers is definitely the key one. Thank you.